India, Maldives, Sri Lanka hold NSA-level talks in Colombo security conclave as China and India flex muscles in pole-bound Sri Lanka as both dock warships in Colombo on the same day. India-China power play intensifying in Bangladesh as well. Strong message coming in from External Affairs Minister to Pakistan that New Delhi will engage with Islamabad as per its own strategic interests.
Let me say this. I think the era of uninterrupted dialogue with Pakistan is over. Actions have...
Mohammad Yunus's interim government fails to give any timeline for holding elections in Bangladesh, lifts the Hasina-era ban on radical Jamaat-e-Islami, frees radical elements like Jashimuddin Rahmani, imposes travel ban on 14 ministers of the Hasina government. The case count on former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina crosses 100. 4 months after his party won a brute majority in Parliament, Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzu claims the opposition is destabilizing his government. Maldivian economy grappling with an alarming drop in foreign reserves. Will the pro-China Maldivian president use this as an excuse to seek more Chinese funds? And the French flip-flop over the next Prime Minister continues as President Macron rejects the 6th Prime Ministerial candidate in the last 7 weeks since the results through a hung parliament. The big story on India sense. India is now playing the power game with China in its neighborhoods. It's upping the ante in vital strategic locations like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, whether it's geopolitics, geoeconomics, as well as military positioning and posturing. Both Colombo and Dhaka are important countries that have swung in favor of China in the past, lured by the large and limitless Chinese checks and driven by political dispensations that became anti-India. Now, both these nations are in the midst of a political and economic flux. They sit on vital sea links and trade routes and are located in India's backyard, its traditional area of influence, where China is trying to gain a larger footprint. These are also countries that have witnessed regime changes in the last few years due to people's movements, adding to the uncertainty that they are both susceptible to, requiring New Delhi to play the power competition game that it's now playing with Beijing. Sri Lanka will hold its first election since its last president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, was driven out. The posturing by New Delhi to dock its warship with China, along with China, is testimony to its commitment to not let Beijing make another inroad for another port like Hambantota, a key asset that's now owned by Chinese companies and sits on important sea links. India does not need to project power in distant shores, but on crucial sea links that impact its trade and strategic interests. New Delhi is now flexing its muscles. Take a look at Bangladesh now, which needs India to fund the transition to normalcy for its economic stability and long-term growth. The Bangladesh economy has been ravaged by an economic slump as well as dwindling trade due to the turmoil has now added to the inflation and economic woes. India needs to fund some of the $8 billion that Bangladesh needs, whether it's in the form of concessional loans or infra financing. That remains to be seen. But in a post-Hasina Bangladesh, India needs to deepen its leverage and play the great power game. Mohammad Yunus has also released radical elements like Jashimuddin Rahmani, and New Delhi has to ensure that Bangladesh does not go the way of Pakistan, where its dysfunctional politics, along with a broken economy and growing influence of radical elements, has led to that unending cycle of violence, all of which targets India, which is why it's crucial for New Delhi to keep up the ante. Shifting focus now to the first wide-angle story on the show, the deadly attack in Pakistan's Balochistan region, where Punjabis were attacked and targeted, has a very strong message for China. It raises questions about the longevity of the China-Pakistan equation as well as the CPEC. Now, Pakistan and China are not natural partners. They've come together because they want to create security challenges for India. They mutually hate India. But this convenient relationship, has it run its course? Continued terror attacks in Balochistan has cast doubts about the future of CPEC, or the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, integral to Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative. And it's now its most uncertain part. CPEC has not alleviated the genuine concerns of the Balochis, who feel that the projects are exclusionary, they're exploitative, and they're centralized in their planning and pretty much help the Punjabis at the expense of Balochis. And this is the reason why Baloch insurgents target Punjabis again and again. The Gwadar port, which is the Chinese-managed deep-water port in Balochistan, is now a constant source of tension between Pakistan and China and is at the receiving end of multiple attacks. China has dialed back because of that on its future investments in Pakistan. CPEC 2.0 is off the table. No new projects are being green-signaled by Beijing anymore. Even the PM-level trips by Pakistan is not making China change its mind. And will these fresh attacks ensure that China dials back further? Or will it just now cut back its losses and exit Balochistan? The numbers seem to suggest that. China has invested $25 billion against the much-hyped figure of $62 billion 7 years back when the CPEC was in its full steam. Recently, the Chinese envoy to Pakistan also said that China is there to help Pakistan, but it will do only so much. He quoted Mao Zedong, saying that success requires you to stand on your feet, indicating that Pakistan's inability to protect Chinese nationals and Chinese assets makes any more support untenable. China's goal is not to set up security posts and wait for the next attack. Instead, it will now just cut back, impacting Pakistan and its finances, vindicating India, which has stayed away from BRI all along. Shifting focus now to the second wide-angle story, where it's about Maldives, where it's just been 4 months since the Maldivian president, Mohamed Muizzu's party, won a supermajority in parliament. The party seems to now be coming to an end for Mohamed Muizzu. Despite having an unprecedented executive power and a huge parliamentary backing to reshape Maldives' policies, Mohamed Muizzu has claimed that his government could be toppled and it could be a financial coup that could be happening in Maldives. Muizzu has steered Malé away from India towards China and in the process green-signaled a plethora of financially unviable projects, leaving the small nation's finances in complete tatters. Add to it the financial impact of Indians now rejecting Maldives as a big tourist destination, impacting the foreign exchange reserves that the country has. Take a look at this report that tells you just how those finances of Maldives government have unraveled in the last 15 days. Behind these breathtaking white beaches lie the ugly truth about the Maldivian economy. And the precarious state of government finances under President Mohamed Muizzu. On 21st of August, Maldives ran out of usable dollar reserves. An alarming situation that meant the small island country could not pay for any international purchases, like an outstanding $25 million crude oil payment. This led to the regulator Maldives Monetary Authority writing to the finance minister. To arrest the flight of dollars from the economy, on 25th of August, the Bank of Maldives blocked dollar transactions on Rufiyaa cards and slashed the limit of the previously issued cards to just $100. Shockingly, within hours these measures were reversed at the instruction of the regulator and possibly at the behest of the president. This flip-flop over an unprecedented crisis shows the inability to address a possible insolvency of the Maldivian government. even as President Moizu claimed BML's measures were taken to instigate political unrest and overthrow his popular government. The financial situation in Maldives remains dire, with a run on the currency and a sovereign downgrade remaining as a real possibility. Compounding Moizu's troubles is the fact that he needs to come up with funds to repay the large Chinese loans. So why is this important to India? Well, Maldives sits where 50% of India's external trade and 80% of its energy imports pass through those shipping lines. So a bankrupt or a financially unstable Maldives will allow Mohammad Muizzu to give further leeway to China, both by offering strategic national assets like ports and also with a direct military presence, possibly a big base like Djibouti. India will not just have to be vigilant, but will also have to respond to a potential economic crisis. Despite Muizzu's India out campaign, India cannot stay out of Mali. In fact, talking more about Maldives, we have with us the first top voice on the show. We have Ahmed Adeeb, who is the former Vice President of Maldives, joining me on the broadcast. Sir, thank you so much for taking out the time. Speaking to NDTV, my question to you, sir, how do you read the statements that were made by Mohammad Muizzu when he said that a financial coup is what he thinks opposition is up to?
First of all, thank you for having me. I've been on NDTV even in January, just few months after President Moise has taken oath.
Okay.
At that time, it was there was a movement called India Out, and that's where even at that time I mentioned that Maldives needs India, and there will be a time there will be a financial crisis because the number showed that the successive governments has taken a lot of deficit finance, which President Moise has inherited. And also he inherited a campaign called India Out. But after the parliament elections, as I predicted, everything became, the relations between Maldives and India has improved. Ex-Minister of External Affairs has just visited Maldives. So as I concluded, even at that time, Maldives needed India, and it was India was being very lenient even in last April, and also in this September. There are bonds like $50 million bonds, which has been now delayed and given the leniency by India to Maldives. So I would like to say, first of all, if India didn't given the leniency, this would have happened more earlier, but it was Prime Minister Modi's gracefulness, and as well as India has been always there for Maldives, as I have been repeatedly saying that. So what we see today is the successive deficit financing of Maldives. Maldives tourism sector is doing very well. We have built world's luxury resort tourist destination. I've been part of it, but I would say that living beyond our means with a big welfare programs that is not sustainable.
Okay.
This is the result what we see today.
But is there a financial coup that's taking place in Maldives?
I believe that I wouldn't comment on the coup because there's a political side of it. But I would say there is a problem. There is a problem. There is a crisis, which I wouldn't blame President Moise because he's just been 7 months into the presidency. It's something he inherited. So it's time to recognize there is a problem. There is an issue out of it. So if there's any crisis, there is opposition. Everyone will try to work on against each other. But I would say we should recognize the need. We should recognize the Fitch ratings, the advice of the economists. I would say we should work more together with India, come up with a solution, recognize it, so that it's time for the stability. There is no future by using this as a political tool, even by the opposition, because this is something that is going to affect every single Maldivian. So I believe there's a crisis, then a coup.
Okay, it's a crisis and not a coup. Thanks so much for speaking to NDTV on what is happening in Maldives. And on that note, we slip into a quick break. We come back on the other side with lots more. Stay with us.
Landslide devastation in Kerala's Wayanad. Join NDTV's initiative. Donate for Kerala.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hi, I'm Shreya Saran. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate, let's rebuild Wayanad.
Landslide devastation in Kerala's Wayanad. Join NDTV's initiative. Donate for Kerala.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hi, I'm Shreya Saran. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate, let's rebuild Wayanad.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a
Welcome back. You're watching India Ascends. With me, Gauri Dwivedi. It's time for the second top voice on the show, Harshpati Singhania, who's the first vice chair of the International Chamber of Commerce. I spoke with Mr. Singhania on the role of India in steering global businesses at a time when US election is adding to uncertainties, and what would be India's role in leading developing countries towards sustainable economic solutions. Listen in.
On the one hand, you are seeing a situation where we are finding global trade or a globalized environment as we had envisaged earlier to be becoming increasingly difficult. But you are also seeing an increase in regional cooperation, because at the end of the day, business has to grow, business and trade. And we have seen that trade, global trade, has brought millions of people out of poverty, particularly in developing countries. So global trade is beneficial for all. The challenge is how are we going to achieve it? And this is a challenge for business as well as for government and policymakers. So that is really a scenario which we put in front of us. And I think ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce Paris, one of his main jobs is to facilitate global trade. So we work on areas of how we can get trade finance. How do we bring in supply chains? How do we include SMEs, which are really the ones which generate large number of jobs? How do we include them in the entire
Supply chain,
in the entire equation? And today you have other factors as well. And maybe I'm jumping ahead of what you might have thought in terms of this, but today issues like climate change, issues like digitalization, all of them are mixed up in this.
Absolutely. And before we get to some of those, speaking on trade, there is an election happening in the US and Donald Trump, it looks like a race that could go down to the wire. And if Donald Trump does come as the next president of US, how do you think it would impact trade ties, and in terms of the whole tariff equation? And how do you see ICC being and the role it may play in terms of ensuring that these trade tensions do not overtake a bilateral relationship?
See, this will be challenging. Let's not kid ourselves. But at the same time, I think every country realizes the benefits they can get from lower cost sourcing. So while countries want to, rightly so, look at their own domestic issues and domestic job creation, etc., they also have consumers and the same people who benefit from more efficient production that could happen somewhere else. And hence the issue of trade across borders. Now, ICC works very closely with the WTO, and ICC has special groups with the WTO, where we try and see solutions that will be in the interest of different nations.
I understand that it may not just be a bilateral relationship that ICC would focus on, but the fact that US may come out with more trade tariffs is not a problem that will be unique to India if Donald Trump comes to power. So how does that become then a bigger challenge, not just for India, but for some of the other countries as well, developing countries? And how do you envisage any such mechanisms to be in place to ensure that they are tackled and don't become a larger geopolitical issue?
See, ICC will use its position and efforts to advocate with different policymakers and governments. So while I mentioned the WTO being a larger sort of multilateral organization, but bilaterally also with governments and policymakers or with trade blocs, ICC works with them to talk to them as to what would be a sort of a reasonable level of tariffs which balances local issues along with benefits that come from global trade.
You mentioned climate, you mentioned sustainability as a key area. How do you see that shaping business discussions going forward? How do you see organizations and associations like ICC sort of shaping a larger conversation around climate change going forward?
It's a very important question. Today, it's not about just moving goods across from one country to another. It's about how sustainably they have been produced and how are they going to be accepted by a customer. Because today customers are making choices. ICC tries to bring in, we have a climate action change policy. We are working with various groups. ICC is a part of all the COP discussions.
Yes.
And so ICC tries to put together policies or advocates for policies which are going to be fair and progressive and what we would call a just transition of energy.
Inside Story segment of the show where we talk about the French politics. It's been 7 weeks that the French did not get any coalition majority, but that cannot be a reason for President Macron to not appoint a prime minister. Take a look at this report to know how the entire French political system is now in limbo only because Macron keeps rejecting candidate after candidate. Take a look.
7 weeks and 6 prime ministerial candidates later, France remains in a logjam. An unprecedented political deadlock that has ensured Europe's second largest economy remains without an administrative head since 7th of July, when the elections to appoint the prime minister were held. The latest candidate to be rejected by Macron is left-wing New Popular Front candidate Lucie Castet. The little-known civil servant joins what is now turning out to be a long list of unsuccessful candidates. Before Castet, Macron had rejected Olivier Faure and Marine Tondelier of leftist NFP, Gérald Darmanin and François Bayrou of the centre-right Ensemble, and Xavier Bertrand from the right-wing Les Républicains. All because he wants a prime minister who will only follow his agenda. But that's a problem, because of the fractured French mandate, which has not given any party a majority, allowing Macron to continue the political crisis. Leftist leaders blame President Macron for his personal role in the political turmoil, with some even calling for him to be impeached. Macron has angered his opponents by delaying political talks for the duration of the Paris Olympic Games, calling it an Olympic truce. Macron's delay in appointing the prime minister is because there is no rule requiring the president to confirm a candidate from the party that won the most seats, nor a specific timeline for the decision. Both liberals and right-wing factions have vowed to block an NFP-led government. Macron has insisted that any prime minister candidate must enjoy cross-party support, raising questions about the purpose of elections in the first place. With only a few weeks remaining before the 2025 draft budget is due to be read in Parliament, France is threatened by an unprecedented political situation. And as things stand, the president is showing no urgency to address it.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Sense with me, Gauri Dwivedi. Thanks so much for watching.
Landslide devastation in Kerala's Wayanad. Join NDTV's initiative. Donate for Kerala.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hi, I'm Shreya Saran. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate. Let's rebuild Wayanad.
Landslide devastation in Kerala's Wayanad. Join NDTV's initiative. Donate for Kerala.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hi, I'm Shreya Saran. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Initiative. Come, donate. Let's rebuild Wayanad.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgent.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Usama Shab. It has been a great start for Team India at the Paris Paralympics 2024. 4 medals so far, including a historic gold by Avni Lakhera. We'll get you all of those details. But first, let's take a look at the headlines. A big day for Team India at the Paris Paralympics. India wins 4 medals, including a gold for shooter Avni Lakhera. Big apology from the Prime Minister in Maharashtra over the Shivaji statue collapse. Ahead of the crucial assembly elections, Prime Minister also taunts the opposition over insults to Savarkar. Trouble for Congress leader Jagdish Titler as the court orders to frame charges against him in the Pulbangash violence case. CBI had invoked rioting and murder sections against him in the 1984 Sikh riots case. Political street fight continues in Kolkata. BJP workers marched to Women's Commission office in the city. This even as the centre and Bengal Chief Minister trade charges in the aftermath of the horrific Kolkata rape and murder case. A muted growth for Indian economy as Q1 GDP registers its lowest in 5 quarters at 6.7%. A strongest growth in manufacturing and construction. Well, the medal rush has started for Team India at the Paris Paralympics 2024. India has won 4 medals, including a gold at the games right now. Avni Lakhera, she has won the gold in shooting, while Mona Agarwal, Preeti Pal, they have won bronze. And Manish Narwal, he has won a silver in 10-meter air pistol. Avni Lakhera, who is also known as the golden girl of Indian shooting, she has repeated what she had done at Tokyo. She has won a gold medal yet again in the women's 10-meter air rifle standing category with a score of 249.7, which is also a Paralympic record. In fact, Mona Agarwal, she has also won a bronze in women's 10-meter air rifle standing final with a score of 228.7, registering India's first medal for at the Games at the Paralympics 2024. In fact, Preeti Pal, she won a bronze medal for India. This is India's first in a track events in Paralympics history. Preeti Pal, she finished with a time of 14.21 to grab a bronze medal. This is in women's 100-meter T35 finals. And she has, like I mentioned, she has become the first Paralympian medalist for India in a track event in the history of these games. This time of 14.21 is also her personal best. In fact, India's 4th medal came in shooting as well. Manish Narwal, he won a silver in men's 10-meter air pistol SH1 event. Manish Narwal, he has at the Paris Paralympics game on Friday, he in fact finished with a score of 234.9. In fact, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he also congratulated these athletes. He posted on his social media handle X saying that India opens its medal account in the Paralympics 2024. He congratulated Avni Lakhera for winning the gold medal. And he also mentioned that Avni has created history as she is the first Indian woman athlete to win 3 Paralympics medals. And her dedication continues to make India proud indeed. Avni Lakhera's win, it is an inspiration for everyone, every single Indian there.
शूटिंग से जैसे हमें पहले ही दिन उम्मीद कर रहे थे और बार बार एनडीटीवी अपने दर्शकों को बता रहा था और मोना ने और अवनी ने निराश नहीं किया। मोना तो 3 महीने पहले 4 महीने पहले हमारी बातचीत हुई थी और हमने भी भरोसा जताया था दर्शकों को।
जी बिल्कुल, हमारी बातचीत हुई थी जब मैंने पैरालंपिक के लिए कोटा जीता था, और आपने उस समय भी मुझे कवर किया था और बहुत अप्रिशिएट किया था, लोगों तक मेरी स्टोरी पहुंचाई थी। और अभी आप वापस से ऑन द स्पॉट हमारे साथ अवेलेबल हैं और हमारी स्टोरी कवर कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू सो मच।
एक तो ये दर्शक को दिखाइए। सबसे पहली बात है, मोना की कई सारी कहानियां हैं। मोना 36 साल की हैं। जो औरतें ये सोचती हैं कि उनके पास वो अब केवल हाउसवाइफ बन सकती है, उनके लिए बहुत बड़ी प्रेरणा है। 2 बच्चे हैं, अरवी और अविक 2 बच्चे हैं। घर को संभालती हैं, सेक्रेटेरिएट में काम करती हैं। इनका जो ये है व्हील चेयर, सरकार ने बहुत सारी मदद की, लेकिन ये पुराना व्हील चेयर, पुराने गन्स 3 साल पहले शुरू की। बहुत सारी कहानियां हैं मोना की, और ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी प्रेरणा है पूरे सबके लिए। मोना,
मुझे ये पता था कि मेरी मेहनत जो है वो सफल होगी, और मेरे पास जितने साधन उपलब्ध थे मैं उनसे अपना बेस्ट परफॉर्म कर पाऊंगी, और मैं वो कर सकी, उसके लिए मैं बहुत खुश हूँ।
और आपने वर्ल्ड कप में अवनी जैसी प्लेयर को बीट किया, जो गोल्ड मेडल जीत चुकी है टोक्यो में, इसके बावजूद आपने उनको बीट किया, ये भी बहुत बड़ी बात थी। शायद उसका हौसला यहाँ तक बना रहा।
सर, ये गेम ऐसा है कि आपको सिर्फ खुद को और अपने अंदर के डर को बीट करना है। इसमें आप किसी और को बीट नहीं कर सकते। अवनी चैंपियन है, और हम दोनों ने एक साथ कंट्री के लिए एक पोडियम शेयर किया है। ये हमारे देश के लिए बहुत बहुत बड़ा अचीवमेंट है।
एक हाई प्रेशर और हाई प्रेशर मैच तो था ही, हाई स्कोरिंग मैच था। इसमें क्या करती हैं? जैसे आप बता रही थी, ब्रीदिंग बहुत करना पड़ता है अपने प्रेशर को कंट्रोल
जो भी हमारी बेसिक टेक्निक है, हमें चाहे हम पर कितना भी प्रेशर हो या माहौल कैसा भी हो, हमें वो अपनी बेसिक टेक्निक को बस पकड़ के रखना है। अगर आपने उस माहौल में खुद को थोड़ा सा भी घबराहट के साथ उस टेक्निक को छोड़ दिया तो यू विल फॉल।
और आपके कोच की बहुत तारीफ करनी पड़ेगी, जीवन जी की, लगातार आपके टेक्निक को मानते रहे।
बिल्कुल, जीवन सर हमारे साथ कंटिन्यू यहाँ कैंप में अवेलेबल थे, और मेरे जो बेसिक कोच हैं योगेश सर, उनका मैं थैंक यू कहूँगी कि उन्होंने मुझे यहाँ तक पहुँचाने के लिए बहुत बहुत एफर्ट किए हैं।
Well, India also hopes to better its tally from the last time around with the hope of winning 25 medals this time. My colleague Vimal Mohan, he also spoke to the World Championships and Asia gold medalist in shot put, Yasir Mohammed. Let's listen into that conversation.
एक तो सबसे पहले आपकी कहानी से शुरू करते हैं। ये एक्सीडेंट आपका घास काटने वाली मशीन से हुआ था?
हाँ जी सर, बचपन में हो गया था। जो घास काटती है मशीन, पट्टे को उतरने वाली मशीन होती है ना, उसमें आ गया था बचपन में।
और वहाँ से फिर आपने, जैसे आप बता रहे थे, नेशनल्स में आए, वो हमें बताइए, क्योंकि आपको पता नहीं था इस गेम के बारे में। एक अवेयरनेस जो है, ये एक बहुत बड़ा टास्क है जिसके बारे में NDTV कोशिश करता रहता है। हम कई अपने कॉरपोरेट्स के साथ, है ना, अंडे हैं, उनके साथ हम कोशिश करते रहते हैं।
सर, ये स्टोरी ऐसी है कि मेरे कॉलेज में एथलेटिक मीट चल रही थी, और ऐसे ही मैंने उसमें पार्टिसिपेट किया, और मैंने एबल बॉडी में थ्रो किया, और फर्स्ट टाइम मेरा मेडल आया था थ्रो में, शॉट पुट में। और वहाँ पे ही मेरे कोच ने मुझे देखा था फर्स्ट टाइम, और उन्होंने मुझे बताया था कि ऐसे पैरालंपिक गेम्स होती हैं, अगर आप करना चाहो तो मैं आपको ट्रेनिंग करा सकता हूँ।
और ये आपका पहला ओलंपिक्स है?
जी हाँ जी, मेरा पहला। जी जी।
या सर, आपके गांव पे फ़र्क पड़ा मलेरकोटला में आपके बाहर आने से?
जी सर, बहुत सारे प्लेयर हैं जो मुझे खुद को मैसेज करते हैं कि हमने सर गेम करनी है, जब मुझे बताओ कैसे अप्लाई होता है या कैसे नेशनल गेम्स होती हैं। बहुत ज़्यादा फ़र्क पड़ा है।
And yet another athlete, Nishad Kumar, the high jumper from Himachal Pradesh, also the silver medalist at the Tokyo Paralympics. Remember, he has also competed in able-bodied games. He spoke to NDTV where he said that he feels very good to compete in an able-body competition and that it is like a dream to compete in these Paralympics.
हमारे साथ निशाद हैं, और मैं बैठकर इनका इंटरव्यू इसलिए कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि मुझसे लगभग 1 फीट ज़्यादा लंबे हैं। 6'4". निशाद, आपने ढेर सारा मेडल जीता है, सिल्वर, ब्रॉन्ज, वर्ल्ड चैम्पियनशिप में। सबसे बड़ी बात है, आपने एबल बॉडी का जो प्रतियोगिता हुई 2022 में, उसमें आपने मेडल जीतना, उनके साथ कम्पीट करना, आप तो एक थ्रेट रहते होंगे उनके लिए।
जी, धन्यवाद पहले आपसे जुड़ने के लिए। और बहुत अच्छा लगता है जब हम ट्रेनिंग करते हैं और हम मौका मिलता है हमारे को एबल बॉडी में कम्पीट करने का, और हम उस लेवल पर खुद को देखते हैं। और ये मतलब एक ड्रीम में होता है कि एबल बॉडी में हम कम्पीट कर रहे हैं, और एक पैरा एथलीट होने के नाते, और हम इसका मतलब हम अच्छी ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हैं, और एबल बॉडी में हम ऑल इंडिया में 5th फिनिश कर रहे हैं।
एक एथलेटिक्स से हमें काफ़ी सारे पदक भी मिले हैं पहले भी, और बहुत ज़्यादा उम्मीद भी है। हाई जंपर्स जितने जंपर्स हैं, थ्रोअर्स हैं, उन सबसे बड़ी उम्मीद है। ये अचानक क्या चेंज आया, क्या सर्ज आया जिसकी वजह से पैरा एथलीट्स इंडिया के अच्छा कर रहे हैं?
मुझे लगता है मैच्योर हो गया एथलीट्स ज़्यादा ही, और ट्रेनिंग अच्छी हो रही है, अच्छी फैसिलिटीज़ मिल रही है उनको, और ट्रेनिंग में काफ़ी चेंजेस हुए हैं। और जैसे मैं पिछले तीन